Today in Toronto, a weekend of reflection comes to a close. Some familiar faces were back in town as a pair of championships were celebrated with stars from the past. On display, a star of the future. And to top it all off, the face of the franchise goes looking for a 12th win. We've got a Sunday special today as the Blue Jays take on the Orioles, next on Sportsnet. And this being a rainy day in Toronto, once again we'll play indoors as the Blue Jays and Orioles wrap up a series at Rogers Centre. And though we've seen names like Dave Steve and Jack Morris in the building this weekend, an active great for this franchise takes the hill today as Roy Halladay goes after his 12th win. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler. Pat, this weekend of celebration, it seems everybody has had some fun except the players, but that changed in the 10th inning yesterday.
And the Blue Jays have not had a whole lot of luck in extra innings this season, but they had the right man at the right spot. Adam Lynn comes up, doubles off the wall in left field. The Blue Jays walk off with the win. And whenever they play the Orioles, it seems like these games are tight all the way through. They faced them 11 times this year. Look at the numbers, very similar on both sides. 8 of the 11 games have been decided by 2 runs or less.
And every time the Blue Jays play the Orioles, it seems Baltimore puts a future star on display, and once again that's the case this afternoon.
I'm anxious to see this guy today. Ryan Mattis throwing. He won his major league debut his last time out. He's big, he's strong. He's going to go up against Roy Halladay, just looking for a win. He has pitched well, has Halladay, but really doesn't have anything to show for it since June the 7th. A 1-4 record for Halladay. That's since his last win. Problem is the Blue Jays trying to score runs, just 17 runs in those starts.
Pat, Brett Cecil started yesterday's game but was unable to finish it, and with more on that story, we go downstairs to Sam Cosentino.
Jamie, the MRI results came back, and there are no problems with Brett Cecil other than the fact that he will miss one turn through the rotation and then return thereafter. As for Alex Rios, the story a little different there. We'll update you on his status throughout the course of the game.
Sam, stars from the past like Devon White and Paul Molitor remind us that this team once upon a time was the best in baseball, and today at Rogers Centre, one of the best pitchers in the game takes the mound against the Orioles. You'll see it next here on Rogers Sportsnet. Is behind the plate as they Gave a thrill to the fans here on Tom Henke Figurine Day as the Terminator hangs around as part of the celebration here of the 92 and 93 World Series teams. What a great sight to see some of the stars of the past from this franchise in the building. And the Baltimore Orioles provide the opposition today. This is the wrap-up to a 3-game series. They've had to make some alterations to the lineup with Brian Roberts out. Felix P.A. is up at the top of the order. And Roy Halladay, in his major league career, has given up 164 home runs, 3 of them to the designated hitter today, Luke Scott. So Scott will try and do it again against Doc, who makes his 22nd start on the mound for the Jays this afternoon.
He lost his last one 5-3 to the Yankees, giving Doc back-to-back losses for the first time this season. The 5 runs allowed to New York were a season high. He won his only start against Baltimore this year, allowing 4 runs in 8 innings, and he has owned the O's 19-4 with an ERA under 3. Scouting report for Roy Halladay: he has the game's best sinker. When it's on, you're not going to get the ball in the air. He is Toronto's strongman, 5 complete games, with ties Zach Greinke for the most in the American League, and no freebies. When Halladay is out there, he's going to throw lots of strikes, fewest walks per 9 innings in baseball.
Swing and a miss to begin this game as we're underway from Rogers Center. There's Felix P.A., who takes over the leadoff spot from Brian Roberts. P.A. plays sparingly. This is just his 35th start.
And just his first start as a leadoff batter for Baltimore. That job has been handled by Robert for the most part this year. A few starts for Adam Jones earlier in the season.
Here's the pitch from Halladay. He runs it inside, and that kind of thing happened to Roberts yesterday. He had to limp off after fouling one off his ankle. And now P.A. knows what it's going to feel like when you have to try and fight off a pitch inside from Halladay.
He has a pad on his shin also.
I think it missed the pad, though.
Yeah, got him in the calf area, but he's got the shin guard, the ankle guard. That's what that good cutter will do. It'll get underneath your bat and you'll tip it straight down to your feet.
And then he waves and misses at that one. A good start for Doc as he strikes out P.A.
There are the numbers for Halladay in those 30 games against the Orioles. Just big-time numbers. A good start here. When Halladay is working well, he's got that curveball going. That time, that was a downer for a strikeout.
It has been a while since we've seen Doc win a ball game. It was 3 weeks ago today, in fact. Cesar Izturis holds up for ball 1. July 19th. Halladay defeated the Red Sox 3-1, a complete game win, beating left-hander John Lester. But since that time, it has been a pair of losses and a no decision. So here's Halladay on the hill looking for his 12th win of the year. The 2-0 pitch is slapped to the left side, deep in the hole. Scutaro, he just eats the baseball as the speedy Izturis has an infield single.
His last 12 games, he is hitting over 300. It's not how hard you hit it, it's where you hit it. Doc running that cutter in again, and he just slaps it to the left side, about a 45 hopper that is run down by Scutaro.
So now to the heart of the order, and Adam Jones, who leads the Orioles with 19 home runs. He has really established himself as one of the league's better center fielders. And Halladay runs one in on him, too.
That one was taken on by fielding Culbreth, today's home plate umpire. We saw P.A. and now Culbreth with a foul ball off. It looked like his left shin guard.
There's Culbreth calling the balls and strikes. And Rod Barajas does the right thing and walks the ball out to Halladay. 1 strike on Adam Jones with Izturis at first, just underway here at the Rogers Center. Jamie Campbell is with Pat Tabler and Sam Cosentino. Here's a bouncer to Scutaro. And Hill goes to Millar to complete the 6-4-3 double play. A quick inning for Halliday. The Blue Jays bring their bats to the plate next with Scudero leading off. You're watching the Blue Jays on Rogers Sportsnet. So Scudero will try and make life miserable today for a young man making just his second start in the big leagues. But the Orioles have big plans for Brian Mattis.
He was fairly impressive in his big league debut. He held the Tigers to a 1 earned run over 5 innings. He was very good in the minor leagues, 7-0 with an ERA of 1.5 at AA this year, right before his promotion to the big leagues.
He starts Scudero with a fastball outside. Mattis is just 22 years of age, and he looks it. He's just a kid up there, now pitching in the big leagues for the Orioles as he faces the savvy Marcos Scudero. Here's a kid, who just started this year in single-A ball.
Yeah, and he has just rocketed through their system. That big league debut, he said he was nervous. And the bad part about it was the sitting around, knowing that you're going to get that start, and then the days leading up to it, knowing that you're going to be out there for the first time. He had about 30 friends in the stands to watch him pitch.
2 balls and a strike on Scudero. Now 3-1. And that was a night game at Comerica Park. I recall Ricky Romero saying that the best part of his debut was that it was a day game, a getaway game in the first series against Detroit. He didn't sleep well that night, but he didn't have to waste a whole lot of time waiting for the game to begin, as Mattis gets strike 2 on Scudero to run the count full. And we saw Scudero do this yesterday against young Chris Tillman, working the count, giving Aaron Hill on deck a chance to see some of these pitches. That ball popped up down the line. Out goes Huff. And the catch made by Andino looked a little awkward. Had to reach back for it, but he gets the job done and retires Scudero.
That was just a beautiful play by Andino. Long way to go. If he doesn't catch that, that is 2. Watch him go back. He's got the better angle on the ball and then reach back over his left shoulder to pluck it out of the air. Nice play by Andino, the second baseman today.
Here is Brian Roberts, who hurt himself early on yesterday afternoon. And his situation right now is aptly termed day to day, as Aaron Hill takes a pitch inside, 1-1. Hill having a tremendous year. 26 home runs, the most in the majors by a second baseman. And he loops this to right field, and it drops for a base hit.
He has been consistent all year long. Sometimes you don't hit line drives, you hit them off the end of the bat, like Hill did, and he's rewarded. Soft liner out into right field for a base hit.
So he's at first, and yesterday's hero, Adam Lind, steps in. Mattis checks the runner. And that hit in the 10th inning yesterday for Lind was timely indeed. It was Toronto's first extra inning victory since they won in Philadelphia on the 16th of June, and first walk-off here at home since the 2nd of May. They have watched over the course of the summer all these teams celebrate late inning victories against them, and they finally got one of their own as you look at some of the numbers posted by Mattis.
Yeah, it's about time you could return the favor. The walk-off hits, those get pretty demoralizing after a while. Tampa comes to mind when we were down there. The Rays had a couple of nights in a row where they walked off. It's very demoralizing. You have to walk off the field with the other team's fans going crazy. But on the other hand, you do that at home, and maybe you can build some kind of momentum and get on a little bit of a winning streak yourself.
Well, to that point in the game, Lind was 0 for 4, and he was talking with Hill before the Jays came to the plate. Neither one had a hit, and he said, listen, let's put down the golf clubs here, pick up some bats, and play some baseball. Get a base hit. Hill did, and so too did Lind, as we know, as he works against the rookie Mattis, now 3-1.
Is that in reference to the golf outing that was on
may have been
Thursday?
Reference to the fact they were both 0 for.
Yeah, a couple of strikeouts. But I always feel that he was the right guy in the right situation. Whenever you have Scudero, Hill, and Lind coming up, there's a good chance you're going to score a run. They have done it all season long. They have been the best clutch performers, I think, as a group in this lineup for the Blue Jays.
Hill breaks from first, swung on and missed, and Wieters throws out Hill, so they double up there, a strikeout and a throwout, and that ends the first inning. After one, no score. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Not surprising at all. He has 5 this year.
I bet you he has more than a few teams all by himself.
Especially some of those teams with young pitchers on staff, like the Orioles, perhaps, as he gets the ground ball out of Markakis. And those are the outs that Halladay likes the most.
The quick ones, the first pitch outs where you get a nice, easy ground ball to your defense. And the defense has been good for Toronto this year. 42 errors in 109 games, the best fielding percentage in all of baseball. Bautista, Wells, and Rios in the outfield. Millar gets to start today at first base. And Rob Barajas gets the pleasure of catching Roy Halladay this afternoon. I know the Cincinnati Reds have like 2 complete games in the last 5 years, something like that. So when I say, Halladay has more than whole organizations, more complete games, whether that fast fact that we just threw up there.
That's not exactly a pitcher's park down there, is it?
No.
And Halladay, since 2002, not only has the most complete games, but the most victories, too, at 124. 3 more than second place Roy Oswalt. He continues to show why he is classified among the best in the major leagues and has been for some time. He's got a ball and 2 strikes here on Aubrey Huff. There's the pitch. He tries to get Huff to chase it, and he does not.
That's why when there were all those trade talks going around for Halladay, the package had to be huge. Because you pick up a guy like Roy Halladay for the stretch drive whenever he takes them out, especially if he went over to the National League.
There are some who think that he was adversely affected by all of that talk. If you consider that the rumblings began about a month ago in New York. Since July the 9th, he's gone 1-3, given up a total of 40 hits. And there is ball 4 issued to Aubrey Huff.
Nothing that he has done. I think he has pitched pretty well. But I agree with you that all those trade rumors and having to answer that day in and day out at the All-Star game, for goodness sakes, they has to answer those kind of questions. That would weigh on a player, especially day in and day out for 3 straight weeks. So I'm glad it's all done. Doc will finish up this season strong.
Man on first, and 1 out in the second inning as Melvin Mora faces Halladay. Mora against Halladay is a career .294 hitter. He's got 2 home runs against him. He swings for the fences there, 0-2.
He likes to use the whole field, and one of the things you have to be careful with Melvin Mora is he'll drop a bunt down at any time. He'll use that third base side. He'll use the first base side. Trying to punch a ball to the right side now with that hole with Kevin Millar holding the runner on.
Grounded back up the middle, a diving attempt by Hill. It scoots into center field. Huff turns for third. No throw from Wells. And Mora squeaks out a base hit here. Runners on the corners for the Orioles, 1 away.
Halladay is very upright when he lets go of the ball. So anything back through the middle, you can see he's off balance right back through the middle, and he kicks it over to Hill, and Hill, he can't knock it down and keep it in the infield. That allows Huff to get all the way to third base.
And on that replay, you saw the competitor in Hill as he slammed the turf with his right hand. He thinks he should have had that ball. And so here is a man who has taken Halladay deep 3 times in his career, Luke Scott. Swing and a miss, and based on the advanced work that Halladay does, he knows that Scott has hit him well.
Time to change up and do something different. I had a chance to talk to Luke Scott in Baltimore about that. He said, hey, look, I'm just running into some mistakes. Don't worry about that. I said, well, what makes Halladay so tough? And he said, you never get a ball in the middle of the plate. Something is always moving, and it's always on the corners. It's a lot like Dave Steve in the fact that he's got two pitches that he could throw at any time, and he doesn't throw it over the middle of the plate. Steve had that great slider and a fastball that really ran into right-handers. And what you need to do is you need to eliminate one of those pitches. Just say, I'm not going to swing at it. If you're Luke Scott, maybe you don't swing at that sinking fastball.
Well, he does it again, ripping it into the corner here. A base hit scores Huff. Mora's off to third, and the Orioles are first to hit the scoreboard here.
Or you sit on that cutter and you just wait on it. That's exactly what it looked like from Halladay, something that just didn't get in enough. And it's hit hard. If Millar could have come up with it, that's double play out of the inning, but it goes by him down into the right field corner, and the Orioles grab the lead.
Scott drives in his 56th run. And the number 8 hitter taps the plate. Matt Wieters, the rookie catcher. Halladay from the stretch. The pitch is high. 1 ball and no strikes. Boy, this is a team of kids, is it not? With Wieters, his first time in the major leagues. Brian Mattis on the mound.
They'll all be able to grow up together in the major leagues. A lot of them played together in the minors. Wieters is starting to get the hang of this major league hitting. He has hits in 12 of his last 14 games. In fact, he has reached base 32 times in his last 40 games.
There's a tough hop played by Hill. He goes to second, back to first, and a double play ends it as the Orioles pick up 1 against Halladay. Time to go back to school, believe it or not, and the back to school kids backpack giveaway is coming up on the 23rd of August when the Blue Jays host the Los Angeles Angels. The first 5,000 kids under the age of 15 receive a Blue Jays backpack. So be sure to grab your tickets and encourage your folks to bring you on down to the ballpark. BlueJays.com has more information. We're playing indoors today at the Rogers Center, and I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler and Sam Cosentino as Brian Mattis goes to work on a one-time Oriole, Kevin Millar, in his first season with the Blue Jays. Millar batting 4th today, and he lifts this ball in the air down the left field line. PA is at the wall, and you can kiss that one goodbye. A solo shot, Millar, and the game is tied at 1.
Oriole pitchers have given up the most home runs in the American League. Here's another one, Millar. Mattis likes to throw inside. It's down. That'll speed that bat up. Millar loves that fastball in the inner half, and he's got plenty left to drive it over the wall in left field.
So the Blue Jays get one back for Halladay. And now Vernon Wells steps in. Mattis deals the 1-0 off the plate. 2 balls, no strikes. Wells checks his swing. And it's now 3-0. So here comes Mattis again, and Wells takes for strike 1.
Blue Jays only have to look over across the field and see what is happening in Baltimore, and it's almost a mirror of what's happened in Toronto this year. Good change up there. Baltimore has had to use a lot of young pitchers making their major league debut this year. Mattis became the Orioles' 6th starter to make their big league debut this year, and the 5th one to win his big league debut. We've seen that.
That hasn't happened ever in modern baseball history.
Well, the Blue Jays have had so many young players make their big league debut this year on the hill. Romero and Zepchinski and Cecil, Robert Ray. So it's the same thing. When Mattis took the mound the other day in Detroit, 18 years to the day that a former Oriole made his big league debut, and he turned out pretty good. Mike Mussina made his big league debut.
And just retired last year after winning 20 games with the Yankees. As Alex Rios steps in against the young left-hander. The 0-1 pitch down at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike. Since 1900, no team has ever had 5 pitchers make their debuts and win their debuts.
And win them. They've had 6, and they've won 5 of them. In fact, the Orioles are 6-0 when a rookie makes his debut this year.
Mattis in a tough spot here, 2-1 against Alex Rios, who started to heat up the last little while. In fact, Rios with 2 RBIs in the game yesterday has 9 of them in his last 5 games.
3 times this season he has homered in consecutive games, and that's a good sign. Rios is a lot like good home run hitters that hit them in bunches. So you hit one, there's a good chance you're probably going to see another.
Pops this one up. The middle infielders crash in, and Dino takes it, and Rios is gone with a first out here in the 2nd inning. Pat, it's always fun to watch some of these prospects get their feet wet, and I know today you ran into a pretty good evaluator of talent who reluctantly had to leave the city.
Yeah, last night after the big gala dinner, I was talking to Pat Gillick, and he knows a little something about pitching and knows a little something about young players, and he was telling me, he says, boy, I wish I could stay around tomorrow and watch Mattis. I've heard good things about him. So Gillick wanted to stay here and watch this young kid, always looking for some talent. I asked him about Tillman. I said, what do you think of Tillman? And he was very impressed with him also. Tillman was Baltimore's starter yesterday.
Pitched very well over 6 2/3, only allowed 4 hits. As Encarnacion rips this to left field, and he's got a base hit. That pushes Wells up to second, so the Blue Jays with 2 on and 1 out in the 2nd inning. And nice to see Encarnacion get a knock here early in the ball game.
Yeah, get the head out right here. Sit on a fastball, wind up, and pull the trigger, which he does hard in the left field. Ball cut off by PA with that good speed, so Wells has to stop at second base. One of the things that was impressive with Mattis in that big league debut is he threw strikes. threw 99 pitches and 65 of them were strikes. You always want to see that with young kids when they come up. It's a pretty good ratio for your major league debut.
Here is Rod Barajas, 46 RBIs for Barajas. Ties him for second in the American League among catchers. As he grounds to third, Mora picks it up and goes to second. And though Huff is pulled off the bag, he hangs on to the ball and gets a step on first, and they complete the double play. So the second inning concludes, and a home run by Kevin Millar ties the ball game. It's 1-1 here at Rogers Center.
Log on to BlueJays.com for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
Back indoors here in Toronto. It's the Blue Jays and Orioles tied at 1 as we begin the third inning. Here's the kick and the pitch from Roy Halladay to the number 9 hitter for Baltimore, Robert Andino.
See if things are a little different this time between Halladay and Andino. Last time they faced each other, Andino had 3 hits against Roy Halladay. That was back on May the 27th. In that game, he collected a career high 4 hits, 3 of them against Halladay.
That was a forgettable afternoon at Camden Yards for Jays fans. A victory to Baltimore in 11, 12-10. Grounded to short, and it rolls right underneath Scudero's glove. And immediately he is charged with an error. That's the kind of play he makes falling out of bed.
Yeah, we haven't had to say that too many times this year. Just his 4th error of the season, and I think the speed of Andino may have had something to do with that. You see he's trying to be a little bit too quick, knowing that Andino can run. Pulls the glove up too soon. Just his 4th error of the season.
Halladay struck out Felix P.A. in the first. He's back up there now. This is start number 22 for Halladay, and 3rd against the Orioles this year. As he checks the runner again, obviously a little concerned about the speed of number 12 there at first base.
Well, he's deking him. He's acting like he's trying to get a jump over there at first base, trying to get the attention of Halladay.
There he goes. Barajas with the toss. It's late, and Andino swipes second.
He kept bluffing. His lead was not very large over there at first base. You can see both feet on the dirt.
When he goes on first movement, picks a good pitch. Looked like a breaking ball. Rojas has trouble getting it there on a fly, and Dino picks up the stolen base.
So now PA takes ball one inside. The Orioles picked up the first run of the game last inning after Huff drew a walk. Mora and Scott then singled. Halladay was able to get out of the inning on a ground ball double play off the bat of Matt Wieters, and this is rolled to Hill. And PA advances the runner to third. So though it's an out, it is a productive one for the Orioles leadoff man.
Shows you how important that stolen base is. Gets himself over there. PA gives himself up. But that's all right. Halladay with that good sinker. Blue Jays are going to play the infield in. And they can keep that run right there at third base.
Here's Asturis again. Infield comes in, and the ball is hammered over Millar's head down into the corner, and Dino is in to score. The Orioles lead 2-1, as on the first pitch he sees here in the third, Asturis doubles to right field.
Only 11 extra base hits all season long for Asturis. That's not his game. His game is to slap the ball around, bunt, use your speed. Sees something he likes, he gets it out in the middle of the plate, pulls his hands in, and gets it down in that right field corner. A couple of home runs, a couple of triples, and now 8 doubles for Asturis, and he unties it very quickly.
The run is unearned due to the error by Scudero that put Andino on in the first place. But the Orioles are able to cash him in as Adam Jones takes strike one. Off the end of the bat, Hill plays the ball and throws out Jones, who hustles down the line. There's a guy taking nothing for granted. This building is awfully quiet when Halladay isn't dominating, isn't getting the opposing hitters in order.
They were rocking when he came in out of the bullpen, and he was announced as the starting pitcher. Standing ovation right behind the camera well, right next to the Blue Jays dugout.
And this is a decent looking crowd. They're still starting to fill in the sections in the 500 level, but awfully quiet to this point as the Orioles lead 2-1. Nick Markakis hitting 4th in the order today. Dave Tremblay has had to shuffle the order because of an injury suffered yesterday by Brian Roberts. And so Markakis moves down a notch and hits this high and deep to left center field, but it's tracked by Wells, and Markakis is the third out. The Orioles take advantage of the Scudero error and lead 2-1. Jose Bautista, Marco Scutaro, and Aaron Hill to the plate, trailing 2-1. They finish up the series here against the Orioles and then hit the road for 6 games over 7 days, 3 in New York and 3 in Tampa Bay. And they'd love to leave this building with a 12th win for Roy Halladay as rookie Brian Mattis faces Bautista for the first time. There's a swing and a miss from the Blue Jays left fielder.
Yeah, and leave this building with a little momentum heading into Yankee Stadium. Yankees are playing great baseball right now.
They certainly are. You'll be able to catch them tonight on Rogers Sportsnet Sunday Night Baseball. They're looking to sweep the Red Sox in a 4-game series as CC Sabathia took it to Boston in the game yesterday. Here it's a 1-1 pitch. Mattis to Bautista, and that's in for strike 2. Base hit right field. And so on 2 strikes, Bautista is able to come up with a single to kick off the 3rd against a young man who was only drafted last year. We'll provide some details there, but first let's get a word now from Sam Cosentino.
Jamie, as Marco Scutaro comes to the plate, having a fantastic season, as everyone knows, becomes a free agent at the end of the year. And with Scott Rowland's salary being shed, there is a possibility there that he could be signed to a deal, but if not, chances are he may become a Type A free agent, which would allow the Blue Jays 2 draft picks.
Well, there goes Bautista immediately, and he's able to steal second.
First movement, Bautista. Mattis does not have a very high leg kick. So Bautista goes on first movement. It might have taken him by surprise a little bit. And he picks up the stolen base, just his 4th of the season.
And now he steps off and keeps Bautista honest. Sam was referring to Marco Scutaro's contract situation. He's an absolute bargain this year at just over $1 million the way he's been playing, and should obviously generate a lot of interest on the free agent market.
Yeah, doing a lot of the little things that will help your ball club win. He can bunt. He's a good 2-strike hitter. We've talked about him playing defense this year and how well he has played there. Runs the bases well.
And really knows how to work the count. Never afraid to hit with 2 strikes. Here he's got a very favorable count at 3-0. Mattis with the pitch.
Mattis will mix up 4 pitches. He's got a fastball that reaches about 94 miles an hour. He's got a very good changeup. They were raving about some of the sliders he threw in his big league debut against Detroit.
Belted left field and well stroked. This ball is up and out of here. How about Marco Scutaro with a wall scraper, a 2-run shot, and the Blue Jays are back on top.
You know, if you fall behind though and you've got to come in with a fastball, Scutaro's got some pop. 10 home runs now for Marco Scutaro. And it's a laser beam to left field. Kevin Millar hits those high arcing home runs. Scutaro goes down and digs this one out and hits it on a line. Hooking, fair, just over 328.
And you have to figure that Scutaro feels a whole lot better now after his error led directly to Baltimore's 2nd run. He gets it back +1 with a 2-run shot, his 10th of the year. And so now the Blue Jays retake the lead here.
And that sets a new career high for Marco Scutaro. He had 9 home runs in 2005 as a member of the Oakland A's, and now reaches double figures for the first time in his career.
Toronto's home run leader, Aaron Hill, punches this one down the left field line, and it's high enough, but foul. That wouldn't put a charge into the crowd.
Looked like an off-speed pitch. We were just talking about some of the things that young Brian Mattis features. Change up. He'll also throw a slider. Another thing that he did in that big league debut is he got ahead consistently. Faced 24 batters, 18 times he got ahead, strike one. Doesn't seem to have the same type of command so far early today.
Little roller back to the mound. He takes it off the turf, throws to first to get Hill, so there's one away. Well, the scouts were obviously keeping a close eye on Mattis when he pitched 2 years ago at the University of San Diego. And when Baltimore in last year's draft had their first selection, 4th overall, they went with the young lefty who was born in Colorado, lives now in Arizona, and he faces Adam Lynn, ball one. In fact, he signed his first pro contract on August the 15th of 08, so he hasn't even been a professional baseball player for 1 year, and here he is at the big league level. But that's the benefit of being drafted by a team like the Orioles. You'll be fast-tracked in an organization like theirs.
You need young pitching, and you need him to get to the big leagues quickly. He went through 2 levels this year. And his numbers, we showed him earlier, they're off the charts. 11-2 with an ERA of 1.9. He was just named in Double A, and he's not even there. The pitcher of the month for the month of July, and he's not even there.
That's well out of play. And his numbers, too, in July in Double A were terrific. He went 5-0. His ERA was 1.85. He only gave up 7 earned runs in 34 innings. As Lynn drives this to left, and PA seemed to have a little problem with it, but he comes down with the ball for out number 2. Once again, let's bring in Sam Cosentino.
Jimmy, you look at Mattis on the mound. You look at Tillman yesterday. Birkin, Ferguson, a lot of young pitchers these Baltimore Orioles are featuring, and your good friend Greg Zahn at some point became expendable, not only moving him to a contender, but to give the catcher Matt Wieters the opportunity to learn and grow at the big league level with these young pitchers.
Good point, Sam. And Zahn was moved to Tampa Bay 2 days ago, and Joe Madden got him involved very quickly. He started him last night against the Seattle Mariners at Safeco. So Zahn has a new address, and now Wieters has the keys to the car the rest of the way.
Said that Greg Zahn taught him a lot in the first half of the season. How to set up hitters, how to call a game. And now Matt Wieters is going to lean on Chad Moeller, another veteran that they just called up from AAA when Zahn was shipped out.
Millar hit his 6th home run of the season in the second, a towering shot just over the wall in left, and tied the game at 1. Here it's a 2-2 offering from Mattis, and a check swing by Millar. It rolls foul. Breaking ball up. Now a full count. As Mattis's pitch count now is up to 56 with 2 out here in the 3rd. So he kicks on the payoff. Here it comes. Down and in. They appeal to first, but Adrian Johnson says Millar didn't go around. Millar draws a walk with 2 out, and that brings up Vernon Wells.
They're making the youngster work here this afternoon. Staying off that breaking ball. That was one of the things that he was very effective against the Tigers. Blue Jays are a little bit different type of offensive team than the Detroit Tigers. A lot of free swingers over there. Here a little bit more controlled, a little bit more of an idea up the plate. They are laying off that changeup and they're laying off that slider. Pitches that he got strikeouts with in his last start.
He sees Wells again, and Wells hits this one high and deep to left, and this one too will exit the building. A big time blast. Vernon Wells with his 12th.
Oh, the last couple of months, if Vernon Wells can do this, there's going to be a lot of runs scored by the Blue Jays. Quick snatches a fastball in the inner half. No chance for PA.
You get the impression Wells noticed that Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach, had come out and maybe he could expect something right around the heart of the plate on that first pitch.
Yeah, the veteran takes advantage of the rookie. Hey, here you go. I'm going to get ahead with a fastball. I'm going to try and bury it on the inner half. He was ready for it.
And that's his first home run with men on base. We addressed this yesterday as Rios pounds one up the middle, a base hit, and keeps the line moving. Wells last hit a home run with men on base back in May in Anaheim. So it's nice to see him knock one out with the man on, and he picks up his 12th of the year.
Watch how high and majestic this ball is. PA really didn't have to move. There was no way that that one was going to stay in the ballpark. 4 or 5 rows up in the second deck.
Oh my goodness.
High fives all around.
Is the child okay? Oh my goodness. Oh, look at Junior. Oh,
give him the ball.
Goodness.
Give him the ball.
Oh, you know, I tried that once. I had my infant son in one hand, a slice of pizza in the other, sitting down here just behind third base, and an easy foul ball that I just kicked around. More concerned for the child than I was for the foul ball. And I lost the pizza, too.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. So did you get the ball?
I did, but I picked it up at my feet. And look at Junior there. He's just in tears. I don't want that baseball. And I don't want you strangling me again. Well, it's been a tough one for Brian Mattis, and the young prospect with a bright future leaves early after giving up 3 home runs to the Blue Jays. A 5-2 advantage Toronto, and the bullpen now goes to work. Today there's the Deputy Commissioner of the National Hockey League, Mr. Bill Daly, taking in the match between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Led by Toronto 5-2. They kicked around Brian Mattis in his second big league start to this point for 5 runs on 7 hits, and now Dave Tremblay goes to the bullpen. Right-hander Brian Bass is in as he greets Edwin Encarnacion with strike 1.
A little bit different type of pitcher now in Brian Bass, a sinker slider. The Blue Jays are very familiar with him. He's been in the big leagues for a couple of years now.
Grounded to short. Rios was on the move, but Encarnacion is thrown at it first anyway. The throw is wide. Huff applies the tag, and the inning comes to an end. The Blue Jays score 4 times. And I don't know, is that a... No, that's...
Yeah, it is a little bit warm, but that's fine. The dome's closed. It's a little bit humid, but it's great. It's great to be here. Great atmosphere.
Well, wonderful to have you as you're watching the Blue Jays lead the Orioles 5-2. I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler. Kevin Weeks from the TD Canada Trust Comfort Zone is our guest. Here's Roy Halladay on the hill. How much baseball do you get to watch in the off season?
I get to watch quite a bit, actually. Playing in the New York, New Jersey area the last 4 years, obviously watching the Yankees, but more importantly, I always keep an eye on how the Jays are doing, and we've spent our off seasons here back home in Toronto, so always keep tabs on the Jays and try to get to about 2 to 3 games every off season.
You've played with a number of teams in the NHL, most recently New Jersey, so do you become a fan of the local team whenever you go to a place like the Devils?
A little bit. Again, I like the Yankees just for their excellence and for what they've accomplished, but I'm a Toronto Blue Jay guy. I'm a Jays guy. I've been a Jays fan at heart since I was a kid, and growing up going to games at Exhibition Stadium and then here at the Dome as well. So quick story, I remember when I was playing in the OHL and the Jays won both World Series, actually. Both times we actually drove to Toronto after our night games in Owen Sound to come and join the parade on Yonge Street. So, yeah, my love for the Jays goes way back.
Have you had a chance to enjoy some of the festivities this weekend?
No, unfortunately, today's the first game that I've had a chance to take in this weekend, but just watching the highlights on TV and seeing all the Jays legends, Pat, yourself, and
no
all you guys.
Thank you. That's
but all that you guys have done and putting baseball really on the map here in Toronto, and helping create a good foundation for the franchise. So I'm aware of that, and as I said, just watching the highlights and stuff. But we came to a game 3 Saturdays back when Doc pitched that complete game. 3 Sundays back, rather, when Doc pitched that complete game
against Boston,
and that was awesome. So. Yeah, I keep abreast of the Jays. I'm a big Jays fan.
Boy, you picked the right time to be sitting in those seats as Halladay goes to work here on Mora, and it's off the plate for ball 1. Our guest is Kevin Weeks, who, though he spent the last 2 years with the New Jersey Devils, is a free agent. Where do you
hope to be playing this year?
That's a good question. Right now, I'm just weighing options. Obviously, being a UFA, unrestricted free agent, I'm just weighing options right now, and in the end, I'll make a decision that is the best fit and that makes the most sense.
Here's the 1-2 offering, and he tries to bring it back across the plate, but it misses. And it's now 2-2. We saw the deputy commissioner of the National Hockey League, Bill Daly, sitting down behind home plate as Halliday kicks and fires on 2-2, and it's fouled back. You know, the big story for so long now has been, you know, the possibility of the NHL finding its way to Hamilton. And I know you grew up in this area. Do you think that would be a pretty good market to have an NHL franchise?
I can't think of many bad markets in Canada to have an NHL franchise.
Good point.
So, yeah, you know, it'll be interesting to see how it all resolves itself. But great fans in, you know, anywhere you go in Canada, and especially that area. You know, there'll be a lot of great corporate support as well, in addition to just great grassroots fans. You know, I played minor hockey here in Toronto and played in a lot of tournaments in that area and played junior against teams from that area. So I think it would do quite well, and looks as though they want to update Cops Coliseum and kind of bring it to a current standard. So I think it would be great if they end up getting it there.
2-2 on Mora. And once again, a ball fouled off, and that's well over your head down there, Kevin.
Yeah. Yep.
Be ready.
Yeah, glove hands always ready. Glove hands never on vacation, guys.
So you'd be a catcher if you played ball.
You know what? I would. Playing high school ball and middle school, I played shortstop. I wanted to catch. Catching was always my favorite. I did it when we messed around, but I did play shortstop. But ideally, I'd like to catch. Catching's fun.
This one's closer.
Yeah, it's a little closer,
but well beyond.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Who was your favorite goaltender as a young man?
Growing up, Grant Fuhr was my favorite goalie. He was just so fun to watch. He was so dynamic and athletic, and he always made big saves at key times. So Grant Fuhr was my favorite goalie to watch. But there's so many guys. Mike Richter, Dominic Hasek, just to name a few others. Bill Ranford. Those guys are really fun to watch.
Another foul ball off the bat of Mora. And your favorite baseball? Obviously, you spent a lot of time watching the Blue Jays in the glory days. Who was your favorite player?
I think all in all, I really loved Tony Fernandez. I love Tony.
Good choice.
That's why you played shortstop.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, Tony was smooth and switch hitting and smooth at in the hot spot there playing at short. He was very fluid and fun to watch. Great hands. I like the sidearm flip that he used to throw over to first. That little sidearm was sweet too.
Halliday tries again, and this time the ball is popped up into short right field. Hill backtracks and makes the catch, and finally Mora is gone. Took a while, but Halliday gets the job done for out number 2 here in the 4th.
Halliday might be the only guy in baseball, when you get to a 3-2 count like that, he just keep pumping pitches in there, and he's got the ability to throw strikes. A lot of times the advantage goes to the hitter, because after a long at bat like that, they see so many pitches and they can square one up. Not against Roy Halladay.
Our guest is Kevin Weeks, and he's watching the designated hitter Luke Scott here. And Scott singled and drove in a run in the second against Halladay, and because of it, he continues to post outstanding numbers. Now 7 for 13 career against Doc. As Halladay on the 0-1 gets a ground ball to Kevin Millar, and an easy play for the first baseman. Hey, Kevin Weeks, good luck to you. We hope you find a team to play for this year, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the National Hockey League again.
Thanks a lot, guys. A pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Kevin Weeks as the Blue Jays lead 100.1 CHFI. If you sit in the Irish section, you get the Irish nightcap, which not surprisingly is green. And so come on and join us at the ballpark to see the Blue Jays and the Red Sox on the 18th of August as Brian Bass, in relief of Brian Mattis, prepares to throw the 4th inning. And boy, Pat, if there's any question as to the value of a good long reliever, we saw that in yesterday's game as Brian Talent gave the Blue Jays an opportunity to win.
Threw some goose eggs up there for 5 innings. Kept the game very close. Gave him a chance to win. Bass is going to try and do the same thing here, although now he finds his team down by 3 runs. Has not been in the big leagues a long time, but the Blue Jays are certainly familiar with him. 5 times he has pitched against the Blue Jays now in his very short career.
Bass was a minor leaguer for 9 years before finally getting called up by the Minnesota Twins last season. He was moved to Baltimore midway through the year as Barajas pops this one up, and the ball drifts out of play.
Orioles acquired him last September from Minnesota, and he actually had a start against the Blue Jays right at the end of the year last year. And it was his only quality start of the season. 6 innings, 3 hits, an earned run, and 4 strikeouts against the Jays.
Well, he was drafted initially by Kansas City, spent 6 years in their minor league system, finally getting to AAA in 2006, and then became a free agent, signed as a minor league free agent with the Twins. As Barajas belts this one to center field, and Jones is over there. He puts it away for the first out. But the man on the hill, Brian Bass, has clearly paid his due and gets a chance now in his 2nd season in the big leagues.
Quick note about those home runs that the Blue Jays hit last inning. They doubled up in home runs in an inning. We saw that yesterday with the back-to-back home runs. They have homered more than 1 time in an inning now 15 times this year. Last year they did it all season long, just 6 times. So it's good to see the power turned on this year. It's a different type of offensive team this year.
Well, their leading home run hitter a year ago was Vernon Wells with 20. And already they have 2 men over that mark in Lind and Hill. There's a big cut from Bautista.
Wells and Rios will probably join that group this year, 20 home run group.
Been an interesting weekend here with all these names from the past coming to visit, and people like Roberto Alomar and Dave Steve and Jack Morris, Jimmy Key being paraded out, and yet here were the Blue Jays on opening night in front of 30,000, getting ahead with back-to-back home runs and looking good for victory. But the Orioles came back and took that series opener. It was good for this team as this ball is hit in the air to left, and Piet's got a long way to run and does so to catch up to it. Considering all the excellence that we've seen in the ballpark, it was finally nice to see them walk off with that win in the 10th inning. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it doesn't help to lose those games. Piet's played center field when he was a member with the Cubs. Got a great jump and just outran that ball.
Boy, he was a big prospect with the Cubs at one point, too. And now finds himself nothing more than really a role player here.
Yeah, Reimold's probably going to get the majority of the starts for Baltimore. Luke Scott has played some left field, but I think he might be settling in as the DH. Dave Tremblay, the manager for Baltimore, said, I got to find some more at bats for PA in the second half. We've got to find out what he can do.
Two gone from Marco Scutaro. He homered just over the wall in the left field corner in the third inning. A 2-run shot. Made it 3-2 at the time. Vernon Wells added a 2-run homer as well. It's now 5-2 for the Jays. Winner of this game takes the series. And these two clubs will not meet again until the 21st of September. Drilled up the middle, a base hit as Scutaro gets a 2-out single, and he's now 2 for 3.
Brian Bass's bread and butter is the sinker and the slider. Fall behind, you got to come in there. He doesn't throw that hard, doesn't really overpower you with fastballs. See, that sinker is a little bit too much over the plate. Had some good depth to it, but the location was not very good.
Back comes Aaron Hill then, 1 for 2. And Bass steps off. At last check with our statistician Scott Carson, Hill was on pace for about 39 or 40 home runs this season. The most recent American League second baseman to have a big year home run wise was Alfonso Soriano with Texas back in 2005. Hit 35 home runs, so Hill could put up quite a year. One of the best among American League second basemen in a long time.
What's his pace now?
Well, funny you should ask, because Mr. Carson just put a calculator in front of me and he has it at 38.64. So we'll round up to 39. Three and 1 as he faces Brian Bass. Brian Mattis didn't last very long, 2 2/3, giving up 5 runs on 7 hits. Scutaro at first, and the pitch on the ground. Here's Asturis. He gets the force at second, and that's the inning. 4 complete at Rogers Center, and the Blue Jays lead at 5-2. Center this year, and if you'd like to dine out, why not think about the all-you-can-eat section when the Blue Jays face the Angels August 21, 22, and 23. Tickets begin at $36, and you can find more information by calling the number you see there, 416-341-1188, or logging on to BlueJays.com. Pat, here is a tremendous sign. The roof is cracking open. It was dark and dingy when the ball game began, but the clouds have cleared.
This might not be very much fun for the batter. That shot we just showed you right there. Look at that. They're both in shade, and the sun is right behind the pitcher.
Wieters grounds this up the middle. Scutaro goes behind the bag and throws him out at first. Once again, let's bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, Pat, pretty interesting that you mentioned that, because as the roof started to crack, Dave Tremblay was right on the top step, and you could see he was not just looking at Roy Halladay warming up, but that flash of light opening up behind him, and surely that's going to be a difficult challenge, even with the lights on. It's always a tough challenge to face Roy Halladay, but when you add this to the mix, a little extra tough for those Baltimore hitters.
Spoken like a hitter, right? One other thing, this is what you are going to be looking at. Look at that. You are in the shade. The pitcher is almost in the sunlight, but it's bright. So as a hitter, you want to look at where that little box is, right above his right-hand shoulder, where the ball's coming out of, and it's a flash of light. So it's very, very difficult this time of the day when they do this, when you come from the darkness, when the dome, and now they're going to open it up and you got that light behind you.
And Alex Rios in right field just had one of the bat boys run a pair of sunglasses out to him.
Scutaro also.
And Rios says, I got mine. Where are yours, Vernon? As that splash of sun gets bigger and bigger. Two balls and one strike on Andino, and that is foul. And it's interesting, the shadow that casts over Roy Halladay has stopped moving because the sections that move behind center field are doing their part before the other part swings around behind home plate. So this should not be a bother to Halladay for the next little while. 3-2 now on the batter. And Dino in the third reached on an error, a throwing error, pardon me, a grounding error, a ball that snuck under the glove of Scutaro and then came in to score. The Orioles at that time had a 2-1 lead, and he rips this one into right center field and gets a base hit. So he's been on twice today.
5 hits now for the Orioles. Roy Halladay got off to an unbelievable start this year. I mean, he had low hit games. He had shutouts. His last couple before this one, 21 base hits in his last couple of starts. So he hasn't been that dominant shutdown guy. 5 hits now in 5 innings for the Orioles. Just 1 earned run. I mean, it's hard to ask a guy to go out there and just dominate the way that we have seen him this year. I mean, he got off to a fantastic start to the season.
2 starts ago against Seattle, the Mariners pounded out a season high 11 hits against Halladay.
They were ones next to all of those categories at the beginning of the year. Then he had that pulled groin problem. That was back on June the 12th in a start against Florida when he lasted just 3 innings. He's had flashes, but not the consistency that we saw up until that point. But you expect when he takes the mound to dominate, and that's hard to do. There's nobody in baseball can do that.
Two strikes on PA, but he steps off. And in the first month and a half or so, the battle for the Cy Young was really 2 men, Halladay and Zach Greinke. But a lot of names have factored in now as the 0-2 is in the dirt. You've got Josh Beckett now, who's won 13 games for the Red Sox. Justin Verlander
having a great year,
though he had trouble, I guess, yesterday.
Felix Hernandez. We got to talk a little bit about that big guy from Seattle, Halladay.
And maybe even Mark Burley, who twirled a perfect game. He's won 11 times. Here's a ground ball for Hill. He underhands to second. And the throw in the dirt gets the runner. And PA is not happy about it at all. He thinks he beat it out. But he is called out by Adrian Johnson as Halladay induces the ground ball for a double play.
They are getting better and better together. Hill and
the Blue Jays jet off to New York after this game is over. They'll play the Yankees Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Have a day off in St. Petersburg on Thursday and then take on Tampa Bay for 3. Boy, some tough road trips coming up for the Jays, with the Yankees and Tampa Bay obviously in contention. Boston and Texas would be up next, and the Rangers are having a very good season.
Yeah, they certainly are, and that's 4 games in 3 days.
Because a doubleheader,
double dip,
will be played after one of those games. The last time we went down there was rained out.
And then 4 big games against Detroit. We haven't seen them for a while. They're right in the thick of it.
They certainly are. Boy, what an intriguing division that has become, the American League Central, where pretty well everybody, except for Cleveland and Kansas City, had a pretty good chance up to, the first couple of months of the season. Everybody was involved, and now the Indians and Royals have really fallen off the pace.
How about Minnesota? 2 games under 500.
And right there.
Yet 4.5 games out. That's all.
Here's Lynn. And Bass makes the play himself, taking it to first. And you hear this constantly from fans of the Blue Jays. Well, we play in such a tough division. And that is so very true.
Yes.
I mean, you've got a Minnesota team playing mediocre baseball all season long, and they have a very good chance, if they get hot in the last 2 months, at winning that division. You have to be exceptional in the American League East to challenge what the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Rays have been doing.
Throw the Rays in there also. But, that's just the way it is.
Yep.
It's been like that for forever, it seems, that the AL East. Remember back in the 80s when there were 7 teams in the AL East, and 6 of them were contenders every year. Baltimore was very good in the 80s. They won a World Championship.
Milwaukee
was in the World Series. Detroit won a World Series.
And here are the probables for tomorrow's game. Zebchinski against Sergio Mitre. in the opener. Scott Richmond back into the rotation Tuesday against Jabba Chamberlain. And then Ricky Romero against A.J. Burnett. Who'd have thought that Burnett and Romero would have the same number of wins at this point in the season? Bass steps off the mound, rubs up the baseball. He's got a ball and 2 strikes on Kevin Millar. Millar has homered and walked and scored twice, and he drills this one.
Get the head out.
Into the upper tank. Oh, and someone couldn't hold on up there.
That is called getting the head out, when you pull a ball like that over the dugout.
He's a little too early.
Yeah.
There's the 2-2. And it's on the ground. Past third base coach Nick Leyva. Roy Halladay and the Blue Jays up 5-2. Brian Bass in long relief for the Orioles after their starter, Brian Mattis, was chased early. Bass kicks and fires, and Millar reaches for it and punches a base hit to center field. So he's 2 for 2 today.
Been on base 3 times, and there's nothing finer when you go up against the team that used to employ you, and you go out there and have a good game. You mentioned the home run, a walk when he scored in the 3rd inning, and now with good plate coverage, a ball that's going down and away, kind of a half swing, but coverage nonetheless, and a base hit by Millar.
And here's a shocker. He's talking while leading off first as Vernon Wells takes ball 1.
He's talking all the time, isn't he? We heard him all the way up here during batting practice.
Yep.
When he was out on the field and some of the Orioles were filtering into the dugout.
Well, Aaron Hill had the great line in spring training when Millar had joined this club for the first time. Being a member of the opposition all these years, Hill said, you know, from now on, whenever he was planning on playing against Millar, he'd simply double so he didn't have to stop at first and hear him talking all the time.
He was probably the most happy guy when they got him on his own team.
That's right.
So he wouldn't have to talk to him when he's over at first. No, he's a great guy. It's a lot of fun to be around when you see him day in and day out, how he interacts with all his teammates.
And sometimes that chattering over there can help you. Remember when he was keeping Melvin Mora occupied earlier this year? Yep. Mora straight off first base, wasn't paying attention and got picked off.
Now that looks like a lot of fun to be standing in there right there.
Well, the pitcher's finally in the sun now.
See, I would call timeout. Kind of act like I have something in my eye and wait while that shadow moves. It's just about off the home plate area. So the pitcher is in the sunlight and I'm in the sunlight, so I can see the rotation of that baseball.
Wells gets under this, flies it down the line, and Dino is out there and in foul territory, makes the catch to take care of Wells. So Wells is now 1 for 2, and Alex Rios, who has a base hit to center field in this game, adjusts the gloves, and he'll be ready to face Brian Bass. And before he hits, let's bring in Sam Cosentino once again.
Well, Jamie, on Friday, Alex Rios was placed and claimed on waivers. The rumors are the Mets, Chicago White Sox, although no team has officially been named. On Tuesday, that waiver claim period will come to an end, so we will know more about the future of Alex Rios, whether or not he remains a Blue Jay or does indeed get dealt to another team on Tuesday afternoon while we're in New York.
Well, that claim certainly generated a lot of press And J.P. Ricciardi had to stand before the cameras and say, rightly so, this happens all the time.
Sure.
You can be assured that almost every player on the roster, save for Roy Halladay, has been put on waivers at some point.
Doesn't mean you're going to lose them. Just, hey, let's kick the tires here a little bit about this guy. Is anybody interested? I'm going to put him on waivers. If someone claims him, and they can claim him for a couple of different reasons. They can claim him because they would like to make a trade and maybe pick him up, or they can claim him to block another team from picking up that player. But if you, the player, the organization who has the player that's being claimed, all you have to do is pull him right back if nothing works out.
He grounds to third. Mora has it, and he gets the force at second to end the 5th inning after 5. It's the Blue Jays 5 and the Orioles 2. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet.
Center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
Welcome back to Rogers Center on Tom Henke Figurine Giveaway Day. We started with the roof closed. It's being peeled back as we speak to play outdoors, and that's the way it should be. As the Blue Jays and Orioles go at it in Game 3 of a weekend set. Toronto on top by 3, 5-2. Roy Halladay on the hill looking for his 12th win of the year. The number 2, 3, and 4 hitters coming up for the Orioles. Cesar Astura's first among them. Today we'd like to send a belated 77th birthday wish out to Ann Tizowski, who's watching in Sandylands, Manitoba, as the ex-Jay Astures is up facing Halladay. Astures grounds it to Hill. And Halladay has his first out of the 6th inning.
Halladay's last few starts, it took him a couple of innings to kind of get into that groove a little bit. Do you get the feeling he's starting to find it now with the 3-run lead?
Certainly seems that way.
Give up a scratch hit here or there, but the defense has turned 3 double plays for him this afternoon. If you're going to get a good pitcher, you better get him early before he finds himself.
And some might say, well, big deal, you know, his name was circulated around the rumor mill for about 3 weeks, but Halladay is one of those individuals who has a very defined routine every single day. I mean, he just doesn't take 4 days off between starts. There is a pattern to what he does every day, and to have that interrupted by people who are always asking about the possibility of moving had to have had some kind of an effect.
Jays had an off day on Thursday. Most of them, as that ball rolls into center field for a base hit, most of them were out at the golf course on Thursday for the Jays Care Foundation playing golf. Jeff Ross came in at 7 a.m. on that day to open it up for Halladay to work out to get his throwing in. That was his throw day. So before Jeff came out to the golf course, he was here at the ballpark for Roy to get his throwing in. So when you talk about a guy who doesn't take any days off, even on the days off he has off, he's in here working.
Brian Butterfield raves about how he tries sometimes down in training camp to come in earlier than Halladay. As Markakis rips it to right, another base hit. And with one out, the Orioles go back-to-back with singles here in the 6th inning, trying to mount a comeback against Halladay. What a great example this man is, though, to young baseball players out there. If you want to be the best, you have to make a very serious commitment.
And he has. You know, that has been well documented. And some of the pitchers that have come through Toronto over the last few years really credit Roy Halladay with making them a better pitcher.
Like A.J. Burnett.
A.J. Burnett comes to mind.
Here's Aubrey Huff. He goes after the first one, fielded by Halladay. He goes to second. Scudero steps off the bag, but can't make the throw in time to get Huff. And so Markakis is retired on the fielder's choice.
Well, if they could have turned it, that would have been a pretty double play. Ball not hit very hard by Huff. Halladay comes out, makes a good throw to Scudero. But the throw takes Millar off the bag just a little bit. And the inning continues.
Melvin Mora has a shiny new bat, and he's ready to go. 1 for 2 today, singling in the 2nd and popping out in the 4th. Runners on the corners for the Orioles, and Halladay gets ahead 0-1. Through 5 2/3 here, Halladay has thrown 73 pitches. And gets strike 2 to the dismay of Mora, who steps back and shares words with home plate umpire Fielden Culbreth.
Peening, he got him 0-2 his first time up and then gave up a base hit. Now throw a ball a little bit further off the plate. See if you'll get that call.
Ground ball to the right side, and that's through for a base hit as Adam Jones comes in to score. It's now a 5-3 Toronto lead. And give some credit there to Mora.
Yeah, he is unbelievable. He handles Roy Halladay well. Everything was set up. He did try to go outside with a little bit more, but he just punches it to the right side. That's an RBI single on an 0-2 pitch. Every time we see Melvin Mora this year, he comes up with multi-hit games or walk-off home run games. I mean, he's Superman against the Blue Jays.
So there he is at first, Huff at second, and you could be saying, well, don't worry about it, Halladay, go get the next guy. But the next guy is Luke Scott. And career-wise, he owns Halladay 7 for 14 against him with 3 home runs. Halladay facing one of his tougher outs in the American League. Sets on 0-1, and the pitch is hit in the air. It's hanging up there down the line. Millar goes over to the wall, and it's about 7 rows too deep. So now they've got Scott down 0-2, and Barajas wants to come out and speak with Halladay.
Just to confirm what you want to do, I'm sure Barajas went out there and said, hey, what do you want to do now, 0-2? And it was Roy Halladay who was doing all the talking there. You see, he put his glove over his face. Good idea. Good idea.
He runs it inside on 0-2, and you had suggested after Scott had singled in the second to try and run it in a little more on him.
Yeah. Move him off the plate. Maybe get him thinking about something away. Halliday's last pitch. Watch him kind of walk off the mound right there.
The 2-2, and it's fought off by Scott. $80 pitches thrown. 2 men on for the Orioles. A run has scored here in the 6th inning. 5-3 for the Jays. Halliday agrees, comes to the plate, and he gets him. A swinging strikeout of Luke Scott, and that leaves a couple of Orioles on base. Halliday gets the job done here in the 6th. 5-3 Toronto. Baseball on your iPhone or iPod Touch with MLB At Bat app. For more information, check out BlueJays.com, where baseball is always on. And it's on here today on Rogers Sportsnet. We're so glad that you've joined us. I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler and Sam Cosentino. Edwin Encarnacion checks his swing and grounds to first. He's a one pitch out for Brian Bass here in the bottom of 6. The Blue Jays fell behind in the second inning after the Orioles scored on a Luke Scott single. Got it back with a solo home run by Kevin Millar in the bottom of the inning. Lost the lead again after Scudero's error put Andino on base, and he came home on an Asturias double. But since then, it's been all Blue Jays as they managed to score 4 times in the 3rd inning on a pair of 2-run home runs, one by Scudero and one by Vernon Wells.
You know, but the Orioles are not going to go away.
No.
We showed that graphic in the opening about how this series has been a tight affair. Every one of the games have been, for the most part, good. Blue Jays cannot shut down offensively and say, okay, Roy, there's 5 runs, go ahead and get them. This Orioles team is a very pesky team. They have some good hitters, and we've talked about it all series long. They hit really well with runners in scoring position.
And here's Brian Bass on the hill as Halliday watches from the dugout. who's gone now 2 2/3, allowing just 2 base hits.
The Blue Jays have played the Orioles now 11 times this year, and 8 of them. 8 of the games have been decided by 2 runs or less. So we're right back there again here as we play in the bottom of the 6th inning.
With the bottom of the order in Barajas and Bautista following Encarnacion. 2 strikes on Barajas, and he drills it to right field. Markakis is perfectly placed. 2 gone. Here is Bautista, who was picked up last year in the middle of the season from the Pittsburgh Pirates for catcher Robinson Diaz.
He's done a good job. He's played some third base. He's played some outfield. 8 assists in the outfield, leads the team.
Pass runs it in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And it's rolled out toward third, charged by Mora. He barehands the ball and gets it to first in time. What an incredible play by Mora. And it's enough to draw a smile on his face. To have the man himself here in the booth. Incredible that you hung around. I heard everybody was taking off today, but you hung around for the ball game here on Sunday on reunion weekend.
For this right here.
Well, that's it. They were giving something away that kind of looked like me, so I thought I better stick around.
It's my inspiration today. My Tom Henke
I still got my black glove.
What'd you think of it, though? I mean, is the likeness at all similar?
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's good pitching for him. You know, look, I got my foot down, got the arm in position to throw.
Yeah, that's
right.
Ready.
It was ready. So.
Well, it's great to see you. How have you enjoyed the weekend? I know Pat's had a blast. How about you?
What a great weekend. Getting to see everybody. You sit at home and you get involved with your own life, and it almost seems like it never happened. You know, I have to look at my ring and say, hey, it does say Henke on there. But then when you come back, it's almost like you never left. And you see guys, and their friendships are just, boom, reestablished, and it's just been a lot of fun.
The bus ride out to the golf tournament.
Oh, what a classic. You know, I know when I first got here, there. George Bell was involved in a lot of those rip sessions. And, hey, Hank, can you hear what they're saying about you? And so it was just so much fun. I tell you, I can't thank the Blue Jays and James Dodds and those guys for bringing us up here, and it's been a lot of fun.
Did I hear the bus driver got lost, Pat?
Yeah. Well, that was only good. It gave us a half hour more time to just like hammer on each other a little bit. Did you get involved with a lot of things? Did you do a lot of the signing things?
Did a lot of signings. I've got a signing yet tomorrow, so I'm going to be around yet tomorrow. They did the figurine day today. My arm is tired. I couldn't believe I could throw the ball out there even today after I haven't signed that much in a long time.
I saw your fastball you delivered in the opening pitch.
Can you believe that? I think Beeston, he's considering the contract. He said he asked me on the elevator up, do I want 1 or 2 years? So
beautiful.
Here's Roy Halladay, and Weeder sends this down the line and out of play. I don't know how often you have seen Halladay work from your television set, but before we get to that, here is the ceremonial first pitch, and your catcher is a pitcher. What's going on there?
Well, I didn't know what was that. He was giving me the wrong signs right there, so I had to shake him off.
And you almost threw it right by him.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. He couldn't believe it came in that fast. He said, this old guy he'll bounce it, I'm sure. So,
have you had much of a chance to watch Roy Halladay pitch?
I have watched him some. You know, you catch him on ESPN. We don't get a lot of the Blue Jay games in Missouri, but I've watched him when they go to Kansas City, and what a tremendous pitcher. I mean, he is a guy that you want on your team. He's that guy that's going to break if you have a losing streak. He's the guy that you can set out there, and 99% of the time he's going to get the job done.
He's a competitor.
Yes.
And he could play in any generation because of that.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, he's got not only does he have the stuff, he has the mental toughness to be out there. And he could play for me. He'd be on my team. He'd be a guy I would start my team with.
Weeders grounds to first. Millar plays it himself, one away. Our guest here is Tom Henke. And how did that first World Series in '92 impact you? Because you'd been with the team for long enough to know that you'd been through some rough patches and certainly came oh so close, particularly in '85.
Well, 85, starting in 85, and, it was just a joy, really. And we didn't win it every year. We got in the playoffs a number of years. But it was such fun to come here every day and have the park sold out. Being a pennant race come September every year, whether we won it or not, I think we were able to give the fans a good season. And, it all culminated in 1992. And what a great experience that was to play in the World Series. I mean, that's what you, as a kid, grow up wanting to do.
On a personal note, when for you did it all click in? When did it come together?
I think probably 1984. I went to Puerto Rico, and I had to come up with another pitch. And I was working on a split finger. A couple of the coaches said, you need a changeup, you need something. I had a slider, but it wasn't much of one. It was pretty hard, too. And they said, you got to come up with something off speed. So I went to Puerto Rico, really worked hard on that, and came over to the Jays that winter. And, I didn't know who they were, but they said, hey, here's the ball. So
who taught you the splitter?
Dick Such is the one that told me to split my fingers on the ball. He said, you could throw a changeup like that. There's no way you could throw the ball as hard as you do your fastball. And I just worked on it in playing catch on the side. I just worked on it, and I went to, and boy, just all of a sudden it started dropping and going away from my left-handed hitters hit less off me than right-handers, and that's not supposed to be right.
Supposed to happen. I faced you when you were with Texas, and I think you started a game, and I'm like, well, who is this big old dude out there coming in? And the next thing I know, you're with Toronto, and I go, how do you end up over there? That's not fair.
Well, it was kind of a weird ride, but it was my big break.
Sure.
They came over and said, here, Tom, here's the ball. Show us what you could do. Unfortunately, I spent part of the year in '85. They had just signed Caudle and Lavelle.
There's a base hit to center field for PA.
So they had just signed those guys to big contracts. So I kind of got stuck in Syracuse for a little bit. But, and Bobby Cox promised me, he said, listen, I didn't give up a run in spring training that year. I mean, I had a tremendous spring training. He said, I promise you, if we can't use you, we're going to get you in the big leagues because you belong in the big leagues. And I said, okay. So I stayed down there till July, And my agent even told him, say, hey, listen, you don't get Tom up here pretty soon, he's going to go back farming because he can make more money farming than he can in AAA.
Really?
So I don't know whether they called the bluff or, the bluff worked or whatever, but they did bring me up and treated me great ever since I've been here.
You farming now?
Yeah, still do a little farming. Nothing serious, just kind of a hobby thing, and I like to do that type of thing.
Do you remember the first time someone labeled you the Terminator?
Yes, a good friend of mine, John Cerruti. God rest his soul. I mean, he was a good man, and him and I were probably best friends, probably my best friend in the game. And him and I were roommates in AAA and in spring training. And I remember 1985, we went and seen the movie The Terminator. And he started calling me that. And then Rick Leach kind of picked it up, and they brought it up from Syracuse up here. And I know Jeff Reardon, they were kind of calling him that too.
Well, it's great to get a visit from the Terminator. What a pleasure it is to have you here in the broadcast booth. Tom Henke, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hank, I heard you might go fishing with Henkin.
Well,
he almost had you talk.
Baltimore. Brian Mattis lasted only 2 2/3. Home runs from Wells, Scudero, and Millar. 5-3 Toronto into the bottom of the 7th inning. Scudero leads off here against a new pitcher, Matt Albers, in for the Orioles. He pitched an inning and a third in Friday night's victory for Baltimore.
Yeah, he had some shoulder problems last year. A labrum tear where he missed some time, and he did get into 25 relief appearances, and that ball is lofted into left field for Scudero's third hit. Albers had a very fine ERA as a reliever. I think that's where he's going to be for the Baltimore Orioles, in that end of the game type of reliever. He throws strikes. Too much of the strike zone here as Scudero pulls his hands in and just loops the ball out into left field. Been on base now 3 times.
So here comes Aaron Hill with the lead man on. Hill 1 for 3 after a single in the first inning. Albers at the belt, stretches and fires, and it's ball 1. What a nice chance to visit with Tom Henke, who was such an imposing figure when he played, but such a gentle giant in person.
Yeah, just a good guy.
Yeah.
When we were down on the field for the deal on Friday, I was like, okay, who's going to get some of the bigger cheers? And you just knew Hank would get the cheers. I mean, they just love him here And he meant so much to the team and the organization, just classy, and his family. And he brought his whole family up here. His daughter just did the OK Blue Jay thing in between innings. Yeah, Amanda, sure.
Hammered foul by Hill. And you talk about a luxury, Pat, and you saw this firsthand. Whenever the Blue Jays got past 7 innings in the old days, they'd go to Ward and Henke, and it was
6 innings.
It was game over.
Get by 6 innings.
Sure.
Wardo pitched the 7th and 8th, and Big Hank would throw the 9th, and game over.
1-1 on Hill. And this ball into right field, and a diving catch made by Markakis, who closed on it quickly and made the stab, so Hill is robbed of a base hit.
He is just a fine all-round player, Nick Markakis. He's tied for the Major League lead in outfield assists with 12. He made a catch like this the other day where he saved a couple of runs when he went to the line to make a all-out catch. That time takes away a hit from Aaron Hill.
It brings up Adam Lind now. Lind is 0 for 3. His last hit was a double in the 10th yesterday, providing a walk-off victory for the Blue Jays. Hard to believe, considering the success that Lind has had this year, that there was a point last season after he'd come up briefly with the Blue Jays in late April and had 1 hit in 19 at-bats. He was then sent back to AAA, and Lind thought his Major League career was essentially over at that point. His thought process at that time was, I best get ready to just be a minor leaguer because I've been up and down so often, haven't been able to stick. He figured just over a year ago he may never stick at this level.
That happens to a lot of players. You become self-doubt. You get a cup of coffee here and you don't do anything. You come back and you say, okay, things are going to be better this time, and they're not. But then one day that light goes on, just something happens, and you say, hey, I belong. I belong in the big leagues. You have some success. And I love what he said at the end of the game yesterday, talking about that big, situation, coming up with a big hit. He just, hey, I've had some experience now. Those kind of situations do not intimidate me anymore.
And he came up big with that double in the 10th. Now finds a 3-1 count. Albers sees that one fouled back, and he looks oh so confident to the plate, and has all year.
I was talking with Gene Tennis last night, and I was asking him about Adam Lind. I said, what has Lind done this year as opposed to last year to take it to the next level? And he said, he has made it simple. He is sitting on the fastball, and he's eliminating all those other pitches.
Draws a walk against Albers. That pushes Scudero to second. Kevin Millar, who is 2 for 2, gets a chance here with a couple of base runners.
It's tough to go up there and hit when you see a pitcher. He's got the fastball, the curveball, the slider, and the change. It's tough to go up there and try and hit all of those pitches. I think good hitters, experienced hitters, really go out there and they start eliminating pitches in certain situations. It becomes a lot easier.
So instead of going up looking for
this,
that, or the other thing,
look for this, look for this. Unless you get the 2 strikes, of course. Then you just have to look for the baseball.
It's a wonder more players don't adopt that philosophy.
It's a good way to hit. It makes things a heck of a lot easier. But it takes some time. I mean, it takes some time around the league and a lot of hard work to be able to go out there and do that.
And in Lind's case, it takes the knowledge that if he goes 0 for 4, he's not going to get sent back down to AAA.
That certainly
and
helps.
That's the confidence that Cito Gaston gave him last year.
I remember when that happened to me. It seemed like, boy, I don't have anybody in my corner. I can go out and hit 380, but it doesn't mean anything. I need somebody in my corner. And when I went to Cleveland, there were some people there who, had me in the minor leagues, and they said, hey, look, I don't care what happens, you're going to play every day. I mean, it was like a piano was lifted off my back. You can just go out there and just play the game. Certainly see that in what Adam Lind is doing.
Well, here's a veteran in Kevin Millar, who went undrafted, had to find his way to the independent leagues, the Northern League, before Florida signed him as a non-drafted free agent. He's forged a nice career, and he rips that one foul. Millar told me about a week and a half ago in Seattle, he just never had the talent to draw a whole bunch of scouts when he was going to Lamar University, and then made his way to St. Paul in the Northern League. Florida took a look at him and said, we'll give you a $5,000 bonus if you sign with us right now. And he said, I'll take that.
You know, everyday player, they've got to do a couple things. They have to hit for power. If you don't do that, that ball is ripped by Millar. We'll finish that caught as Scutaro is going to come around.
And Markakis fumbles the ball, so Scutaro scores easily. Lind advances to third. Millar's having himself a day, driving in his second run. He's 3 for 3.
Sticking it to his whole team. A homer, a walk, and now a couple of singles. This one an RBI single. Little inside out swing, pushes the ball to right field. Markakis comes hard, thinking he has a shot at Scutaro. The ball kind of hops up on him a little bit. Here comes Marco Scutaro. He reads that ball. That's going to be down. He's going to score without a throw. Lynn keeps on coming. And I believe they are going to charge an error to Nick Markakis in right field, which will be his 6th. It looked like Adam Lind had stopped at second base. But with the error, he moves over to third base.
Lyle Overbay takes over at first now for Millar, who exits with a 3 for 3 afternoon. Vernon Wells is the batter. 2 men on, 1 man out. Matt Albers with a 1-0 pitch. Now 2-0. Home run number 12 for Wells came in the third. Ooh, and that's right inside. Danced out of the way and avoided that ball.
It sounded like that ball hit him. Maybe on the shirt right there. But it pushes him off the plate.
I like the theatrics.
You hear that? That's our microphone. That's what it picked up.
3-0. And he takes for 3-1. We've seen occasions this year where on 3-0, he'll get the green light from the manager just to try and get him into some kind of a groove. Take a swing at a fastball over the middle. Albers on 3-1, and he drills this to center field. A base hit drives in a run. So like Millar, Wells is having a nice day. He's got 3 RBIs.
Yeah, the batters are getting ahead in good fastball counts, and they are taking advantage of it. Wells' swing seems a little bit shorter this week, and it's paying dividends. Another RBI for Vernon Wells. Another run score. That's 7 now for the Jays. And here comes a guy who has knocked in a lot of runs of late. Rios has at least 1 RBI in 5 straight games. First time in his career. And it doesn't look like he's going to get a chance to do it against Matt Albers.
Out comes the manager, Dave Tremblay. Takes the ball from his right-hander, and he'll hand off to Chris Ray, who makes his way in from the right field bullpen. So the Orioles make a pitching change with the Blue Jays up 7-3 here in the bottom of the 7th. Sunday Night Baseball, the Red Sox tackle the Yankees in the wrap-up to their 4-game series. New York's won all 3 to this point. John Lester goes for the Red Sox. Andy Pettitte for New York as Chris Ray steps into the ballgame.
Ray trying to come back from a serious injury. Opponents hitting .357 against him.
Base hit by Alex Rios, and Overbay is held at third.
That's going to go
Rios
up.
loads him up.
Going to go up against Chris Ray. At one time was a closer. His ERA is over 7 now. Rios not waiting to get into a 1-strike count. First pitch swinging, rips it into left field. Because the ball was hit so hard, no chance for Overbay to score.
Bases loaded. Edwin Encarnacion, who has yet to hit a home run for the Blue Jays, but had 26 of them last year with Cincinnati. One for 3 today. The 0-1 from Ray is sent foul, 0-2. And Encarnacion's season this year has been slowed by a chip fracture in his left wrist. He missed about 2 months of playing time with the Reds before being acquired for Scott Rowland. Ray sets, and the pitch is off the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We're in the bottom of the 7th here, with the Blue Jays leading 7-3. They've scored twice in the inning and chased Matt Albers. $27,464 in the seats today, watching the wrap up to this series. As Ray fires the 2-2, it's fouled away. Roy Halladay certainly doing his part, holding the Orioles to 3 runs over 7 innings of work.
Good to see the bats coming alive here for Halladay. That's one of the problems that he has had.
Here's Ray. He comes home. Wieters then throws to first to complete the double play and end the inning. But the Jays cash 2 and lead 7-3. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet.
Homeowners.
What a leisurely day if you've got those great seats right behind home. Some are getting raised now because they've cracked open the roof. Still a little cloudy out there, but it has turned into a nice one for baseball, considering we started this game with the roof closed and it was dark and dingy outside. Nothing much changes for Roy Halladay. He's been very good today against the Orioles, allowing 3 runs on 9 hits. Only 2 of the runs earned, as one was scored after Marco Scudero made a fielding error in the 3rd inning. And in the 8th, the Orioles bring up Jones, Markakis, and Huff.
Last time the Blue Jays scored at least 7 runs in a Roy Halladay start. All the way back to May 27th. Remember that game?
Oh,
against Baltimore.
The loss to Baltimore.
Yes. That is the last time that the offense has scored at least 7 runs when Halladay takes the mound.
They also handed him an 8-3 lead when he left, I believe, after 7 innings.
A game that they eventually lost 12-10.
Well,
so about 2.5 months ago, Doc has not been in this situation right here where he's got some runs to work with.
It's about time he got a little support. As he faces Adam Jones, 1 ball and 2 strikes, and he gets him. There goes Jones, swinging and missing.
He can get away when he makes mistakes. Watch Barajas. He wants the ball in the middle of the plate, but with that great cut fastball, he's able to put him away with a strikeout.
It is time now for another Rogers Fastback, brought to you by Canada's fastest mobile network. 3 times faster than any other. Nick Markakis has reached base in 30 straight games, the longest string in the major leagues. He singled in the 6th. Oh, and 1 here as he faces Halladay, hitting .299. Rips that one down into left field, and it's carrying well toward the corner, but a leaping catch made by Bautista. That ball grew wings about halfway out and falls into the glove of Bautista.
Kept carrying, and a nice catch. Markakis with power the other way. This is going to be a fair ball. Slicing. He checks the wall and he reaches up right in front of the 328 sign to take away a hit. When you're pitching or playing for a great pitcher like a Halladay, I mean, you want to help him any way you can, with the bat, on the bases, or with your glove. He did it right there with a nice play.
And now Halladay works to Huff with 2 outs here in the 8th inning. And gets 2 strikes quickly.
Got the collar so far today. He's had 6 multi-hit games in his last 13, but Doc has been able to shut him down so far.
Check swing, and he fouls it over the Blue Jays dugout and out of play. Rolling his eyes as he looks at Barajas. Halladay will do that to you. Gets a ground ball taken by Overbay, and a 1-2-3 8th inning, no problem at all for Doc, as he's impressed a few people here at Rogers Center.
Vernon Wells with a towering drive to left field. We'll give the play of the game to Vernon Wells on that home run, but what happened afterwards was pretty exciting too, with the fan catching the ball.
Hey, visit BlueJays.com to register for a chance to win prizes with the Burger King Superfan Contest. Well, you saw that man in left field with the home run ball gripping a baby at the same time as Barajas lines out to third. What you didn't see is that the baby was not pleased at all with the developments. As Chris Ray gets a quick out here, retiring Barajas, he'll face Jose Bautista now. And he grounds to third. Mora plays the short hop and throws out Bautista quickly 2 away. I've got some trivia for you. Remember in 05 when Halladay started so well, went 12-4, and then broke his leg in Texas? Do you remember who won the most games for the Blue Jays that year after Halladay was gone after half a season?
Like who ended up winning
the most games as a pitcher for the Jays in 05? There were 2 of them, actually. They were co-leaders in that respect, and one of them was Gustavo Chacin.
Okay, I'll say Gustavo Chacin.
Yeah,
I got to remember who was on that team.
Can I give you a hint?
Sure.
He just got called up by the Yankees.
Okay. Yes.
Josh Towers is back in the big leagues, and we'll likely see him.
That's right.
In the upcoming series. And you thought he'd just up and disappeared. I believe he ended up with Colorado after his contract came to an end here. Kicked around with the Nationals for a time in their minor league system, and is pitching well enough right now in AAA. He just got called up by New York.
I know he was the International League Pitcher of the Week, and there were some rumors when the Yankees were in town at the beginning of this week that he might get called up. Happened yesterday.
He and Chacin won 13 games in 05 as Scutaro lines this shot to left field, and PA plays it off the base of the wall. 4 hits for Scutaro today. A home run, a double, and 2 singles.
He had 4 hits a couple of weeks ago at Seattle against the Mariners back on the 27th, and he just misses his second home run of the afternoon. That one at the base of the wall. But it's his 33rd double of the season. He's been on base 4 times.
Strike 1 to Aaron Hill. The club's RBI leader has not driven in a run today. The Jays have scored 7 of them. He's got a man in scoring position now after Scutaro's double, and watches ball 1 fly. Chris Ray, some years ago, was the heir apparent to B.J. Ryan. Took over the closer duties in Baltimore, but as Pat mentioned, has been sidelined lately with arm injuries. He's just now starting to come back to the form we saw of about 3 years ago.
Yeah, his elbow surgery was back in August of 2007. Missed all of last year. Reinstated from the disabled list on July 31st. So it's been a long way for Chris Ray to come back to the big leagues.
Mora at third, goes across the diamond and gets Hill, and that ends the 8th inning, where the Blue Jays enjoy a 7-3 lead. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Z. Zenya. Statistical information provided by StatSync. Well, if you look on the mound, you see Jason Frazier throwing. He warms up to follow up Roy Halladay, who goes 8 strong innings today against Baltimore.
Yeah, in line for that 12th win. It's been a while since we've been able to say that. 4 starts for Halladay, but 8 solid, strong innings, just 2 earned runs and 4 strikeouts for Halladay. He will give way. Jason Frazier comes in from the bullpen. He pitched in yesterday's game. Got out of a mess in the 10th inning. Through just 2/3 of an inning, and the offense scored him a run in the bottom of the inning, and he picked up the W. His 6th of the season.
He's the Eagle. He swoops in, and after all that tremendous work by Brian Talbot, got win number 6. And so he'll try and finish up here against the Orioles. In the 9th, Mora, Scott, and Wieters coming up for Baltimore. Roy Halladay finished with 107 pitches, and as we've seen in past starts, he's capable of going a little longer than that. 119, I think, is his most in a single game this year. But as Cito Gaston pointed out before this season even began, they weren't going to go after complete games just for the sake of getting a complete game. They want to ensure that he's healthy and ready to go every 5th day.
And it's August. It's time to kind of like save an inning here, save an inning there, so you can remain strong throughout the rest of the season. A 4-run lead in the 9th inning. Jason Frazier should be able to finish that off.
He gets strike 2 now on Mora. Here's a young man who grew up just outside of Chicago, trying to lock down a victory for the Blue Jays here to send them to New York on a high note. 2-2, and the pitch is ripped foul by Mora. The Orioles go back home. They've been on the road facing, prior to this, Detroit, and now the Blue Jays, and they'll start a series with the Oakland Athletics tomorrow night at Camden Yards. Their ace, Jeremy Guthrie, goes against Gio Gonzalez, while the Blue Jays will send left-hander Mark Zebchinski to the hill against right-handed pitcher Sergio Mitre at Yankee Stadium. Two and two. Now 3-2.
Mora has had some good at-bats today. He had an 0-2 single his first time up against Halladay. He had about a 15-pitch at-bat against him his next time up, when he eventually popped up and made an out. Then another 0-2 hit, an RBI single.
And he draws a walk against Frazier.
That has not been a problem this year for Frazier. He has really had a good year. We mentioned the 6 wins. Did you look at all the other numbers that we flashed up there? Opponent's batting average, base on balls. That was just his 11th base on balls in about 40 innings of work this year.
Luke Scott flies to left, and Bautista has it for out number 1. This year has really been a comeback of sorts for Jason Frazier, because most of last year he was not used in critical situations.
I remember that. Mop-up duty. Your team is up by a lot or down by a lot, and he came in
and he'd go, on occasion, go sometimes a week to a week and a half without even getting an appearance.
Yeah, not a lot of consistent work.
But he's gone out, added that 3rd pitch, and he's really forced himself into a more critical role with the Blue Jays bullpen this year.
Last year he got into 49 games, 47 in the third innings. Opponents hit just 200 against him. Came into spring training, had a great spring. Kind of under the radar with all the other bodies that they had out there this year, and they kind of left. And he's the guy out there just dealing right now, closing for Cito Gaston.
And he's facing Matt Wieters, the rookie catcher, who's 0 for 3. And he gets a strike there, 1-1. Now strike 2 from Frazier, who was acquired from the Dodgers in 2004 for a player who eventually became an all-star, not with the Dodgers but with the Phillies, Jason Worth. And of course at that time Frazier was immediately thrust into the role of closer and did a pretty nice job too, going 17 for 19 then in save situations. Who knows, he might find himself as a closer once again for this club. 2-2. If injuries continue to hamper Scott Downs, they might go into next season perhaps with somebody else in mind, and Frazier might be capable of playing that role.
He's pitched in all types of roles for the Blue Jays. 6th inning guy. He's done some setup. You mentioned the closing. He just goes out there and just takes the ball and just keeps doing his job. Gives you an honest day's work. I imagine he's going to want to stay hard against Matt Wieters. He doesn't want him to pull that ball in the hole on the right side. Nothing off speed. You mentioned that good off-speed pitch that he has. Let's see what Rob Barajas has in mind. Looks like fastball away.
Here it comes over the heart of the plate and flied into left field for Bautista again. 2 gone. Frazier had to work Wieters a little bit, but he gets the result he's looking for. And now Dave Tremblay sends in a pinch hitter. Nolan Reimold will bat for Andino. Frazier now 1 out away from ensuring Roy Halladay's 12th win this year. Reimold comes off the bench and takes strike 1.
That's it. No tricks. Go right after him. Reimold's been sitting over there for 8.5 innings. Come in here and just pound him with fastballs.
Strike 2. Jim Lang and Ivanka Osmak are standing by after the ball game with Sportsnet connected. And don't forget tonight at 8 Eastern, it's the Yankees and Red Sox on Sportsnet. Two strikes on Reimold. 27,000 and change on their feet here. The pitch is on the way, but it's low. And we also invite you to join us again tomorrow night. Jays Connected comes your way at 6:30 Eastern Time, and the first pitch shortly after 7. Mark Zebchinski against Sergio Mitre from Yankee Stadium. You'll see it here on Rogers Sportsnet. Barajas, it appears, wants Frazier to come with a heat. Runner goes. They appeal. And Adrian Johnson says Reimold didn't go around, so it's 2-2.
Yeah, I like the fact, though, that Frazier is challenging him with a fastball. That one bearing underneath the hands, just off the plate. It did not go around. Guys been sitting around there challenging, get ahead early, and then if you want to mess with them, you can do that later in the at-bat.
Frazier sees it fouled away. None of these Orioles are quick and easy outs for Frazier. He's really had to battle. Went quite some time against Wieters before he flied out to left field.
That's something I've noticed all season long with these Oriole hitters. The numbers might not be there, but they're pesky. They foul off a lot of pitches. They take a lot of pitches. They hit well when runners in scoring position.
So Frazier tries again on 2-2. Here he comes, swung on and missed, and that's the ball game. A 7-3 win today. Roy Halladay gets his 12th win of the year, and the Blue Jays take the series 2-1.
Good to see the home run bats come out for